capitalism versus socialism.
Let's actually review them for the people watching at home. So
let's review.
Capitalism versus socialism. Private ownership versus government ownership. Individual goals versus...
Is that even true? Necessarily? I feel like that's like a half-truth mischaracterization already. You know what I mean?
I think one of the best examples is healthcare in this country. It's sort of the closest that we've even come to having the conversation, implementing the reforms. People actually didn't get what they wanted. They ended up paying more. They ended up not being able to see the doctors that they were seeing previously. It had a tax.
Just talking about Obamacare. Yeah, we released a half-measure, neutered form of it was like Mitt Romney's healthcare plan. It was literally Romney Care that we then further gutted. And they're using this as a citation for why socialized medicine can't work, or like why socialism is bad in general. And like 45% of the country are going to eat it up. That is a huge problem.
Lay it out so that the people that are on the side of the socialist system or do want to see that kind of reform really understand what it is they're getting into. It's an extreme case, but Venezuela is a good example.
Vuvuzela! Oh my God, are you kidding me? Is there someone on this panel though? Like, you can't have this panel without at least, I don't know, a liberal. Like, is it all going to be like conservatives here? Because they're just going to mischaracterize everything.
It's a great analysis, Jackie. Really, really
great
well done.
analysis.
And, right now you're seeing some capitalists who made all their money in the capitalist free enterprise system, writing essays and
there is no free enterprise system, dude. What are you talking about?
Are now questioning the very system that got them there.
Yeah, it's disturbing. I think part of it is there's
been
a lot of these measurements that say it's so horrible, it's growing, it's worse than it's ever been. They don't consider after tax, after government benefit levels of income, which is really what matters. Once the government is through redistributing wealth, what is the income level? And you look at those measures, they maybe haven't changed all that much over time. But look, inequality is part of what makes capitalism work.
Did bro just say the quiet part out loud? Am I missing something? Inequality is what makes capitalism work? I mean, you're not wrong, but that's not a good thing. That's not a good argument for preserving this economic system. That is a problem with a lot of conservatives, with a lot of free market advocates. The problem is a lot of the time they will be like this guy, where they're like, actually, the inequality is a good thing, is a necessary thing. And I take a huge issue with that. I think that is a completely messed up worldview, to where you're like, actually, we need inequality no matter what. But yeah, that was stunning, because I feel like I've heard capitalists say, like, actually, capitalism creates more equality, is what I hear them argue. This guy's like, nah, actually, the inequality capitalism produces is necessary. That's crazy, dude.
There's not a reward for doing more, for innovating, for creating the new invention. You don't get those inventions. You mentioned Venezuela. I mean, how many great inventions have come out of Venezuela in the last decade?
By the way, I would even say,
none.
I would even point that.
My man's on Fox Business. The reason we can't have socialism is because Vuvuzela hasn't produced a lot of innovations. That's like, what kind of argument is that, dude? Like, are you 4 years old? The rhetoric I hear from capitalists in general is like, no, socialism would produce more inequality, capitalism results in less inequality. This guy's just like, no, capitalism actually is more unequal, but this is good. That's crazy to me. No. These are not good things. The fact that people are homeless and starving is not evidence of a healthy economic system. It just isn't. And if you're like, even if you're a capitalist or, whatever, you have to understand that something needs to change if people are homeless and starving anywhere in the world. Unless you think that's a good thing, in which case it's a separate conversation. Now we're in like ethics and morality. We're not even talking about what economic system is better for people. Now we're arguing, should we even strive to like be nice to others? And unfortunately, that is a conversation you need to have with conservatives. Because, again, to a lot of them, as you're insinuating here, the answer is no. And that is a problem I have with modern conservatism, is that a lot of them do argue that it is not necessary to be kind and empathetic to others. And in fact, that should be discouraged. I've heard this. I grew up in a very conservative area. And that is rhetoric I have heard time and time again. That actually we should be not empathetic to others, and that showing empathy to others is a form of weakness. And I very much disagree. I think it's actually the opposite. To take the effort to show empathy to others is difficult. It requires taking extra steps. I would argue it's a lot more difficult to be kind to others than it is to be rude to others, or like mean to others or cruel to others. My dad got the mentality of, I got mine, what happens to others is their own problem. Yeah, the fuck you, I got mine. Yeah, fuck you, I got mine is a pretty common sentiment. This is the problem of a labor aristocracy in a country. High-paid workers who support the system because it benefits them. I am one of those people. The system benefits me. I don't have a lot to worry about when it comes to finances in my life. That doesn't mean I'm not going to vehemently, I am an anecdote. I am a single person. You can't look at your own situation. You have to look at the systems in place, the institutions, and how it's affecting other people, and understand the privileges you've had, the experiences you've had. But that requires a lot of fucking work, a lot of introspection that most people aren't willing to do, that I wasn't willing to do for the longest time. Because again, I used to be a pretty conservative person, and it took a lot of learning to get to where I'm at. That unfortunately, most people won't have access to, because we live in such an unequal society. No, we have high standards of living because we're comfortable exploiting people in the third world. I mean, if we didn't do that, our standards of living in, the US and in Europe and whatnot would not be nearly this high. And they probably shouldn't be this high if people are being exploited, frankly. I would take fewer products, shittier products, if it meant people weren't being exploited. Sure. Whatever the world looks like where someone's not being exploited, that's where we need to get to. We're currently here, let's get to here. I think we can get there. You know what I mean? I don't think we necessarily need to be here. That sort of thing. That's kind of exactly, dude. Perfect. That is a great analogy, Taco. I don't need 100 flavors of drinks. I want my buddies housed. Yeah, my buddies all over the world. I could live with a 1080p monitor rather than a 4K monitor. I could live with fewer shirts if shirts were more expensive and I just owned fewer shirts. But it meant everyone in the world had a better standard of living and not living as slaves. You know what I mean?
We also should consider, Mitch, is the fact that capitalism and the free enterprise system, particularly in the last couple of years as economic growth has picked up, has lifted so many out of poverty.
Yeah, no question.
I mean, I don't even know where to begin with that statement. And fine, even if what she said was true in the US, what about the people we have to exploit in the global south in order to achieve this standard of living? Do we just not care about them? Are they just expendable? Is that necessary? According to this guy, it is. Is it a good thing that we are exploiting these people in the third world so that we can have a high standard of living?
Question about it. When you put
no question about it. No question about it.
How small it is, and if we make the marginal tax rate 90%, we're going to create more income inequality, not less.
But I also think,
dude, by we're going to create more income inequality by giving like the working class more money. How is that possible? Because the capitalists are going to retaliate? Is that what his answer would be? If we tax the rich and use that money to pay for universal health care in the US, let's say. We tax the rich, we pay for universal health care. People like me don't have to spend money on health care anymore, so I have more money in my pocket to spend on the economy. How is that going to create more income inequality? Giving the working class more money, how is that going to create more income inequality? The only thing I can think of is if the capitalist class retaliates by, I don't know, raising prices. Second Thought had a good video where he talked about all the ways that the capitalist class can and often does retaliate at any sort of regulation. And this is in his SOCDEM video. One of the main reasons why I sort of agree now that in the long term, social democracy probably isn't enough, because of the ways that the capitalist class can retaliate. But if your answer is, if we tax them to the point where we're no longer being exploited and can have a reasonable standard of living when it comes to like things like healthcare, if they're going to retaliate, if your answer is they're going to retaliate, I have to ask you, we're so beholden to these corporations and what they're going to do to us by like asking for basic necessities like healthcare. Is this a sign of a good economic system? That's my question to this guy. If your answer is the capital owning class is going to retaliate against the working class, is this a good thing that they have this ability? The answer is a clear and obvious no to me, and a clear and obvious, descriptor of why we need a different economic system. What that is, I can't say for certain. I haven't done the research. It's easier for me to be anti-capitalist than it is to be any specific thing. Like I don't know enough to say I'm a this or it needs to be this. This is what the best economic system will absolutely look like. This is what I believe. It's harder to come up with solutions, and it's much easier to criticize what you're currently seeing. And so that's where I'm at. Especially, I'm anti-free market, unquestionably. That is ridiculous.
Because a lot of the Democratic
Explain.
hopefuls,
Do it.
They say I'm not a socialist, they are actually endorsing or supporting socialist programs.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you...
Which, again, we were just talking about this. Endorsing socialized programs does not make you a socialist. Lady, are you for the U.S. military? That is a socialized program. Do you support roads or public infrastructure? The word public is in there. It's holding a lot of weight here. Libraries, K through 12 education, anything. There's so many countless social policies we have right now, and you would not think to call the U.S. a socialist country. So if all of a sudden we socialized college, just more education, or let alone healthcare, that does not automatically make us a socialist country. So again, a gross mischaracterization that is either disgustingly malicious, which would make these people terrible, or evidence that these people are so utterly brain dead and that meritocracy is the biggest lie ever told. Yes. Inequality is what makes capitalism work. Oh. It's like, dude, said the quiet part out loud. Straight up.